Hall, and I work here at Kepler's. I'm a very lucky girl. I get paid to read books. Some of my favorite are here by Maggie Stiefvater. She first wrote Shiver in the Werewolf trilogy, and now we have Linger, which is her latest. Linger debuted #1 on the New York Times bestseller. And of course, I have to say here at Kepler's, the New York Times list isn't quite as important as our Kepler's list, and it debuted #1 with us as well. For those of you who haven't read Shiver and Linger, you're missing out, and you need to get started because Sam with the yellow eyes is very compelling. And when he shivers, we're all jealous of Grace, because Grace gets to keep him warm. But anyway, by all counts, I want you guys to give a warm welcome to Maggie.
Hello. Can you guys hear me all the way in the back? Yes. Bark once for yes, twice for no. So how many of you guys came from more than a half hour away? How about an hour? 2 hours? 3 hours? I'm just gauging how entertaining I have to be. At my last event, someone had come 13 hours, and so I felt like I had to be really compelling. Wow, Linger. This time last year it was really strange because this book, Shiver, was coming out, and there's a dog barking in the background, and that didn't happen last time. And last year I was really excited because Shiver had debuted at #9, and it feels really strange to be standing here and knowing that Linger debuted at #1.
Yay!
And I don't know, how many of you guys read the story of how I found out on my blog? Okay, so this is the story. I was flying out to San Luis Obispo on Wednesday. I knew that the list sometimes gets posted at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My phone battery had gone dead. So I gave my editor my dad's cell phone number instead and said, call me, whatever happens, call me, because I thought I might be on the list and I really wanted to know. So our flight gets delayed, so we're flying and flying and flying. We're on this little tiny prop plane with 20 people. The phone rings. I don't know if you guys have flown recently, but they tell you things like, now is the time to turn off your electronic devices, otherwise the plane will crash and it will be your fault. So the phone's ringing. And I'm thinking, what kind of an idiot has their phone turned on after a message like that? Yeah, it's my dad's phone. Sorry, Dad. So it's my editor. So he goes and hands the phone to me, and he says, Maggie, you're about to get ready to scream really loud. And I'm looking at all of these people on the plane and going, no, I don't think so. And the stewardess is starting to give me the stink eye from the very front of the plane, because when you're one of 20 people talking on a cell phone, it's kind of obvious. And he goes, guess what? You're #1. And so I'm here jittering in the back seat, violating all kinds of rules and regulations, and the stewardess is looking at me, and the people in front of me can hear our conversation. They're going, what book did you write? And the stewardess gets on the intercom, and she's looking right at me, and she goes, everyone who is talking on their cell phone needs to power down, as if there's anyone else on the plane who's doing it. And so I'm sitting here going, I can't talk, I have to go. So that's how I found out that I was #1 while I was committing felonies, apparently. Anyway, so, Linger. I can't believe it's already out. For my release date, my publisher actually set up a blog tour for Linger. And the way a book blog tour works out is that your publicist and book bloggers get together. Publicists do things like coordinate schedules, and they do other magical publicist things. I don't actually know what publicists do, but they're instrumental. And the book bloggers come up with guest blog topics, and they make widgets for counting down to when your book comes out, and they come up with deep probing questions that plumb the depths of the artistic soul, like, if you were a cookie, what kind of cookie would you be? And so last year, for Shiver's blog tour, we had about 20 bloggers that were participating, and they all had about 5 to 10 questions each, and I thought, this is a lot of questions. For Linger, we had 50 book bloggers, and they all had 5 to 10 questions each, and it was a lot more questions. the good thing about having that many interviews, aside from the fact that it gets your name out there, it also gives me an idea of what's going to be the question that everyone asks about the books again and again and again for the year to come. And that way I can get really good at either answering it or avoiding it. So for Shiver, by the time Shiver came out, I already knew that the question was going to be, what inspired you to write Shiver? And so the answer to that one is easy. I was inspired to write Shiver because I'm a terrible person. I like to make people cry a lot, preferably while wearing mascara, contact lenses, and at work would be a bonus. So any of you who did those things while reading Shiver, thank you very much. And so that was the reason why I was inspired to write Shiver. And if I had a pony for every single time I was asked that question, we could all take chariots home. Anyway, so by the time Linger came out, I had an idea of what the questions were going to be. And there were two main ones. First one was, did you have to do a lot of research for Linger? And the next one was, oh, and did you read many werewolf books? And the next one was, why werewolves? So, this being my tour, you guys get to see my first labored attempt to answer these questions, so I hope you like it. The first question, did I do a lot of research? It kind of baffles me. Not because I didn't do a lot of research for Linger, because I did. I spent hours perusing medical websites looking for interesting things like hypothalamus and brain chemistry and adrenaline. And I spent hours pestering my father, the dear doctor, who is here today, for things about why bad things happen to good people's DNA, mutagenic viruses, things that would go bump in the night and cause fevers. I spent a lot of time on drug forums, rehab forums, looking to see what happens to your brain when you do a lot of acid, and the answer is you can't post really coherent thoughts on rehab forums after you do a lot of acid. I watched so many wolf documentaries that my terriers began howling in their sleep. They're not allowed to be near me while I sleep now. I'm a little afraid of them. I actually spent more time on German poetry than on personal hygiene. Research in the Stiefvater household is more than a word. It's a way of life. But werewolf books. Everyone wants to know if I read werewolf books. Why would I read werewolf books? Any of you guys get the idea that my novels were about werewolves? No, I prefer human impaired. Or even if there is some minor shape-shifting component, what have you, I mean, everyone knows all there is to know about werewolves already, right? I mean, they shed, they slobber, they have a problem with lunar cycles, they savage 7-Eleven clerks, and way back, before any of us were born, the Germans invented them. All right, there you go. Werewolves 101, buy the book. Why werewolves? Story time, we'll do that. Back when I was a young and tender Maggie, I was a small and phobic child. I was very small. I was a grade ahead in school, and so I was doubly small. And my teachers used to send home threatening notes to my parents that said things like, "Dear parents, don't think we haven't noticed that you're starving your daughter. Love, Maggie's third grade teacher." I wasn't being starved, I just didn't like food. I was a very neurotic child. Actually, I only ate round foods. Cheerios, SpaghettiOs, anything that ended with O's was a good bet. Beans, buns. I was very small.